All right, welcome scholars. You made the great choice of clicking into this video to make sure that you understand how to complete this first key assignment for our Learning Target 1 that is about identifying and mapping out different individuals, events, and concepts within a text and charting how they connect. So for this assignment, you're going to need two things. You're going to need the actual assignment, and then you're going to need the article that was assigned to you. So if you don't have the article, make sure you reach out and get that article. Because basically, I see this assignment as having two parts. The first part is reading the article, and I need to find three people, three events, and three concepts mentioned in the article. So to find three people, I'm just going to look for names, right? That's the easiest part. So if I can ever find a person's name, I'm going to go for it. I'll copy and paste their name. I'll put it into my assignment, and then I'm going to use the article to talk about who they were. For events, I'm usually going to look for dates, right? An event is anything where you can attach a time and a place to it. It doesn't have to give you the exact date for you to use it, but if you see a date, that's usually a good indicator that it's an event. So I see a date here. I see another date. Dates are going to be my key. If you have an idea of a different event, as long as you can tell me where and when it took place, it's an event. So it could be a specific action a person took. It could be a movement and of any event that happened. We're looking for three. Then the next part is concepts. Concepts can get a little bit tricky. I think of concepts as nouns, right? But nouns are person, place, things, and ideas. And concepts are those ideas. It's if you were to tell your friend to picture something in your head and you picture it too, and you think you're both picturing something different, it's probably a concept. So, for example, if you were to picture a pencil right now, I bet you and I are thinking of something pretty similar. Like I could look at your mental image and be like, hey, that's a pencil. But if we were both to think about love, I might not even be able to recognize what you're picturing in your head right now as love because it's a little fuzzy, exactly what it is, what it looks like. It's different for everyone. That's a concept. So, concepts are things like love, freedom, hard work, um, any of one of those ideas. So, I could look back, emotions could be good concepts. But I'm going to look back in this article and I'm going to try to find three concepts that I think are mentioned in here. So I already see a few words like democracy could be a concept. Any other ideas on concepts? There's 35,000 of them, but at least 35 different answers that you could pick for concepts. I'm going to write down three of them. Then I'm going to have 9 things I pulled from the article, right? 3 events, 3 people, 3 concepts. And now I have to think about the different types of connections. So on this slide, I'm going to come up with any example of these 5 types of connections. So cause and effect, I have to think of 2 things that are connected by cause and effect. So 2 things where one thing makes the other thing happen, right? Like my alarm doesn't go off, I'm late for school, right? Those 2 events had a cause and effect relationship. You in this box have to come up with your own example of something that has a cause and effect relationship. Anything at all. It doesn't have to do with the article yet. The next one is shared purpose or goal. So these are 2 things that want the same outcome. So it could be 2 people that are working for the same thing. The example here says washing your hands and brushing your teeth. They both work together to create good hygiene. So it could be 2 people, it could be 2 events, it could be an event and a person, doesn't matter, just 2 things that they kind of want the same thing or they result in the same thing. Contrast or conflict is the opposite. So it's 2 things that almost oppose each other. So it's like brushing my teeth and eating candy, I feel like are in contrast or conflict. One thing is trying to help me be healthy, the other thing is, kind of unhealthy. You have to come up with your own example. Sequence are just 2 things that happen in order, right? So, I brushed my teeth, I went to school, right? Those two things went in sequence. Or two events, right? Two things that happened during the war. First, second, they happened in sequence. Support and evidence is one that I find to be the trickiest, but it fits really well with this idea of concepts. So it's something that you feel like is evidence of something else. So, like, let's say I had the concept of love, like I was talking about, and then I also had an event where two people got married, right? And so I'm going to say, hey, that could be evidence of my concept. So it's something that provides like an example of something else. Support / evidence. So on this slide, you're just proving that you kind of understand these 5 types of connections by making any of your own examples. Then this is where it gets tricky. So I have an additional video I already made that explains this slide. It's the most important slide of the assignment. So I would definitely encourage you to check that one out. And I have some example slides. But basically, I'm going to take my people, my events, and my concepts, and I'm going to write them in these random circles. It's going to be completely random. And then I'm going to have to figure out how they're connected, right? So I would have put, Sam Slater here and the Industrial Revolution here, and I see that these are connected. And so I have to decide, do I think they're connected by cause and effect, shared purpose goal, contrast or conflict, sequence, or support / evidence? And whichever one I pick, I have to pick one. I found this to be tricky because some of these things I'm like, well, these aren't even connected. I don't know. But you have to pick which one you think is best. And then you just move it over there to say, okay, yep, these two things were connected by that. And then I find the next squiggly line and I go through. And the idea is for you to realize that all these things that might not have seemed connected from the article are connected in some way. And you have to figure out which way. Now, if you notice, as you move these things around, you don't need to explain why you picked this to be contrast or conflict or why you picked this to be sequence. That is what you're going to do on the next slide. So for the next slide, the last slide of the assignment, you're almost there. You're going to pick 3 of these rectangles and explain why did you move that type of rectangle there, right? So you'll say on here, I decided that Sam Slater and the Industrial Revolution had a connection of shared purpose and goal because they both were working towards the advancement of technology. Right? So here you're going to pick 3 relationships and tell me why did you say they were cause and effect or shared purpose or goal or sequence. And then you're done. And you'll be done with assignment number 1 and on your way to complete and total success. Congrats. Please reach out with questions. I'm happy to help. And remember, there is this additional video here to help guide you some more if needed.